What's going on, guys? Stefan here with you, S&E's Garage. Today we're going to go ahead and review the Trak Motive extended travel axles that we put in our 2005 GX470, and then we're going to go ahead and replace the broken one that we are reviewing with an original equipment that I removed, rebooted. So before I installed these axles, I did a bunch of research and I found that they were hit or miss. Some people loved them, some people hated them. And today we were out on the trails. We use our GX pretty regularly for trail riding. It is by no means babied. You'll see here we had a couple of run-ins with some trees and some things like that. And today I almost got basically stuck. I was up on three wheels. This back wheel, or no, maybe it was the back driver's wheel, was up in the air, and I high centered here on our running board. You'll see it there. It's a little messed up. I got to get some rock sliders. But I had to cut the wheel a little bit in reverse and give it some gas to get out of the situation I was in. And I heard a loud pop, and we ended up absolutely destroying this passenger side axle. Now, these axles have less than 5,000 miles on them. The truck has less than 5,000 miles on the suspension build, so the axles are not old at all. And I'm kind of disappointed that that was all it took to pop this axle. I wasn't being crazy. You know, I was a little stuck, but I was less than a quarter throttle. I wasn't mashing the pedal, and I just heard a real loud pop, and I lost all momentum. So to get it home, I actually had to lock it in four-wheel drive. I had to lock the center diff and baby it home. Luckily, I wasn't too far. But this is one of the reasons that I kept my original equipment stuff. We went ahead and rebooted it with the CVJ axle kit. And you'll see here I left this clamp loose because what we're going to have to do is install this axle into the truck. And then we're going to have to either, you know, make it longer or shorter depending on how it looks when the suspension is unloaded. So let's go ahead and pull the wheel. It's a bunch of it's either 21s or 19s depending on if you have aftermarket or factory wheels. And let's go ahead and start getting this axle out. The easiest way to get the old axle out is going to be a pry bar and a hammer. You're just going to go ahead and stick your pry bar on the axle itself and then give it a good whack. Now, these axles are a little weird in the fact that they don't really have anywhere good to hit. So it is kind of tricky getting them in a good position to come out. But with a little persistence like that, it will come out. Now, I just want to be very careful here not to nick my oil seal because I've already replaced it twice. And the driver's one is now leaking too. I think it's these axles. I don't like them anymore. But you'll see we got this Trak Motive axle out. Let's go ahead, cut it apart, and I want to see exactly what happened in here. So what we have here is our, say, 3,000 mile Trak Motive axle here. And what you're going to see here is this is the cage that holds all of the ball bearings in place. It basically holds them in between these notches. And then there's slots here in the cup of the axle that hold it all together. And this cage just fractured. You'll see it's split into several pieces here. So oiling was not an issue. It was not starved of oil. There was no contaminants. Boots were not ripped. It just cheap metal, cage failed, split apart, and let all the balls go whichever way they wanted. So what you'll see here is we went ahead and slid our original equipment rebooted axle back into place. And now we're going to go ahead and slide it back into the hub and start putting everything back together. So generally, for both quality and durability, original equipment stuff is better. I don't really like running aftermarket axles especially, but unfortunately, because we have this suspension modified, the factory replacements just wouldn't have worked. So I went with these Trak Motives thinking, you know, they're made for off-road use. They're made for modified vehicles. They should be strong enough to handle what I'm going to throw at it. And apparently they're not. So hopefully putting these extended boots here on the factory axles that I removed, there was nothing wrong with them. It's just the inner boot was ripped. Hopefully this is a lasting solution here. I got to rebuild the other one that I have sitting on the shelf because I have the second spare, and hopefully, you know, hopefully I won't need it anytime soon. But I do now know in the back of my mind that these Trak Motive axles are just unfortunately not that strong, and it's something that I'm gonna have to be mindful of. Now once you're done and you get the truck on the ground, you're just gonna wanna come under here and take a look at your axle. Let me grab a flashlight so you can see what I'm looking at here. And you just wanna make sure that when your vehicle is at ride height, the boots are not touching, or the cleats on the boots are not touching. We are in good shape here. This is still gonna settle a little bit when I back out because the suspension is still under load. If for some reason yours still is, just loosen that clamp and move the boot out a little bit more. But I am a lot more confident knowing that I have an original equipment axle that should last a lot longer in the front end of this truck versus the Trak Motive. And now we're just going to have to go ahead. Maybe I'll get this on video. We're gonna have to rebuild this factory axle here with the CVJ kit and keep it on the shelf as a spare. So if and when that Trak Motive fails, I'm not completely dead in the water. So hopefully this video helped you. If you're looking at these Trak Motive axles and you're gonna do any type of moderate off-roading, definitely give it a second thought, because these should definitely have lasted longer than they did. Like I said, there's less than 5,000 miles on these, and to me that's just unacceptable. There was no warning, no clicking noise. It was just immediate and catastrophic failure, and I don't like that. I have my kids in the car all the time, and the last thing I want is to be stuck out in the woods with broken parts. So if this video helped you, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.